I'm Shan, and this is Life with Shan. I want to start this video by saying thank you for 200 subscribers. I am so excited to have 200 of you guys here into books, into traveling, and a little bit into running. So thank you for subscribing. I appreciate you guys. I'm sorry I haven't posted too much this month. This month for January, I started off the month with the Dopey Challenge at Disney, where it's 4 days of running races. The first day you do a 5K, the second day is a 10K, then the third day is 13.1 miles, which is a half marathon, and the fourth day is a full marathon at 26.2 miles. Throughout that whole week, I was getting up around 2 a.m., driving to Disney from my dad's house, running the race, going back to nap for a few hours, and then eat, carb load, and go back to sleep to get up at 2 a.m. again. The races went really well, better than I anticipated. I ended up setting a personal record in the marathon, which is not something I expected with minimal training beforehand due to being overwhelmed with life. Also completing the marathon with a personal record after running the 5K, 10K, and half marathon the days before. I was high on life that week. Then after the Dopey Challenge, we had about 3 weeks left of January where I just nonstop did book sleeves and wedding stuff because the wedding is in a week or so. So that's why I've been a little absent lately. Thank you for your patience. I do have a lot of ideas for this channel coming. I'm excited to keep going with it. The thing that I want to do moving forward is a weekly reading wrap up, mostly so that way I can see the flow of my reading. I could be more transparent with you guys about what I'm reading without doing long videos at the end of every month. For example, it's January 9th and I'm at 20 books read, and to give a good review on a book for 20 books in a monthly wrap-up video, it's just too long of a video, I feel like, for you guys, for me a little bit. So I just thought I'd break it up weekly. So this video is going to be the first weekly recap of 2023. I started the first week of January of this year listening to Cloisters. I really loved this one. It was a book of the month pick, which is what initially sparked my interest in this book. I appreciated the dark academia magical vibes and how it also went into the art world and represented the main character through kind of like her own challenges. It was so well written. I'm not a huge fantasy reader. I don't want to give away too much because I do know that fantasy, even like the littlest bit, can kind of give away a lot, and sometimes it's fun to dive into that world a little bit more with like an open mind of what not to expect. So I recommend Cloisters. There's tarot cards, there's magic, there's art history, it's college vibes. Young girl gets accepted to this college under a specific professor who never accepts students ever. And he possibly forgets that he accepted this student and ends up taking that semester off. So the admissions department tells the student like, hey, we don't have anywhere for you. A different department and professor ends up taking the student in, and you kind of see how her different understanding of art and specialty kind of impacts the whole group. And then, like I said, there's magical elements. It's a good read. I listened to it on audio through Libro FM. Thank you, Libro FM, Libro Form, for this audiobook advanced listening copy. I appreciate it, and I loved the Cloisters. After Cloisters, I also picked up Adelaide by Libro FM, and Adelaide is possibly a new favorite of mine. The way mental health and mental illnesses are depicted in this book are phenomenal. It was so validating. So many different things going on with Adelaide. It goes through different times in her life, different relationships, and you can kind of see like her life, she felt healthy with her mental health and where she struggled with it. And it was just so transparent and open-minded and real. And I loved Adelaide. I went into this one blind as well because it was on Libro FM, and I kind of just pick up whatever's on there every month just to enjoy it and get usage out of it, since they do give me the advanced listening copies. For Adelaide, personal favorite of mine, it does publish later this year. I will be pre-ordering it because I have to have a copy of that. That book will stick with me for a while. I will probably read or listen to that book throughout the next couple of years, once a year or so, which I do with some of my favorite books like Beach Read and Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. Just Adelaide was so well written. If you struggle with mental health or want a better understanding of mental health and mental illnesses, I highly recommend Adelaide. It was very good. After Adelaide, I then read physically a library copy of The Rewind, which was also a Book of the Month pick and an Authentic Books pick. And I really liked The Rewind. I did skim a little bit, which I tend to do. I tend to have a lower standard for skimming than some people. Some people start skimming later on. However, I think I just read so many books. I kind of can, when I can tell what's going to happen, I just skim for the dialogue, which I know is not the same as everyone else, but it's just what I do. I did start to skim in The Rewind, but it was a good book. I appreciated the characters and their development. It is essentially two characters who dated in college. They come back together years later to celebrate one of their college friends getting married. However, there is kind of like that hangover vibe because there's a night and they get really drunk or something else happens. A lot of different things that go into it, but they wake up in a college dorm bed together and they have to figure out what happened the night before, how this impacts their relationship. They need to work out the past relationship that they had, what's going on with their personal life now while trying to plan go to this wedding in the evening where one of them is in the bridal party. It's just a fun read. I read this one during the Dobie challenge and I remember like waking up, going to the race and being like, I just want to lay in bed and read The Rewind. It was a good book. I appreciated it. Possibly listen to it on audio again next year. It does kind of have like a year's holiday vibe, but you could read it outside of the holiday season. After The Rewind on audio, I listened to The Villa, thanks to the publisher sending me a listening copy. And this book is by Rachel Hawkins, and I've read and listened to quite a few of Rachel Hawkins books, as well as her books published under her pen name, Erin Sterling. And I really enjoyed The Villa. I think it might be one of my new thrillers from her. It takes place in Orvieto, Italy, and I went there in 2022. I really loved the setting. Even if I hadn't gone there, I would have loved it. Just the way she wrote it and described the town was so well done. The Villa is about two old friends. One friend now is like a big influencer. She publishes self-help books. She gets a lot of fame and fortune, while the other one's kind of kindling her writing career, and they've always had that. One of them's more popular and the one's not. She's kind of just their friendship. Who's like famous is like, hey, let's go to Orvieto and do a writing retreat together and get back on together, and then all these little things come out. There's secret mysteries. Even in the villa that they rent, there's like, okay, murder here, what happened, is it normal, because it is such an old villa. Appreciated the mystery aspect of it. I did really like the writing and the author perspective of the book. It was just really well written. I liked the pace of it. I was very happy with my first week of reading. Go a little bit into the next week because there's a lot of books in that, but after that Sunday, I finished The Villa. Monday, I then listened to Happier Hour, which got from audio on my library, and I was just listening to it while driving back from Orlando. And I was not a fan of Happier Hour. It's a big self-help book, and I'm not a big self-help book reader, so that might also change how little I appreciated it. Every chapter, the beginning of the chapter explains this is how you make the most of your time to live a happier life, hence the title Happier Hour. It goes on to say we need to prioritize different things, we need to spend our time more efficiently and focus on what makes us happy, which I like that mindset. The whole book just reiterated it the whole time, and I got to a point where I was like, I don't feel as though I'm spending my time efficiently by reading or listening to this audiobook. It felt kind of counterproductive for me to spend my time listening to Happier Hour when I wasn't really enjoying it, and it was a book about your time more efficiently and how to be happier. Some takeaways were essentially kind of like what a lot of us do is something that you enjoy, you have to do something that you don't quite enjoy. You do laundry or empty the dishwasher, play an audiobook, call your mom or an old friend on the way home from work. They're all parts of our time that we spend doing all of the time that we don't really enjoy, but we can add pieces of happiness and enjoyment to it. So it was about kind of like prioritizing your time and how to do it more efficiently, because at the end of the day, almost all of us feel like there was never enough time in the day, where if we do certain things through multitask at certain times, you get more enjoyment out of it. However, perspective of this is like, that is a great mindset, but it's also easy to get burnt out. You need downtime. So that's something you do need to incorporate into this. Like sometimes you just need downtime time on your drive home from work, or you just need silence. You don't need to listen to an audiobook all the time. So I did like and appreciate the mindset behind happy hour. I could see where that could become problematic, but that is just something to keep in mind. The first few chapters were good. They got the points across. I appreciated the mindset behind it and have incorporated it a little bit more in my life. After that, it just felt very repetitive, and it was a lot of my classroom, I do this and this, which I did like that insight, but it felt unnecessary. Those were the first 5 books I read in January. Like I said, I'm at 20 now. I'm hoping to get to 25. I'm currently listening to The Spare by Prince Harry. I have a few hours left in that. Hopefully I'll finish today. Today is Sunday. The month ends Tuesday night. Hoping to finish The Spare. I am reading The No-Show by Beth O'Leary, which I am enjoying. It is a little bit different from her other reads. It's taken me a little while to get into it just because of the multiple girlfriends that this guy goes around with. It's taken me a little while to understand each girlfriend and understand why this guy is so messed up and why he's doing what he's doing. But the cover's really cute. I do think this is a really good Valentine's Day, February type read. Reading that, I just finished Finley Donovan's The Gun on audio, which I think might be my new favorite Finley Donovan book, which I'll go into more in a future video. Also have been reading on my Kindle a lot more, which on in January helped me a lot just because it's easier to read on my Kindle than it is to pick a book. So I have found myself, like, even when I'm eating, I just hold my Kindle and I read, compared to I would sit on Instagram or TikTok or something because I don't want to hold a book while also eating. But I am reading on my Kindle Immortality, a love story by Donna Schwartz, thanks to NetGalley and publisher for the advanced reading copy, and I am loving it. It does continue from the first book, which I loved and talk about all the time, which is Anatomy, a love story by Donna Schwartz. And so I'm really enjoying Immortality. I have already pre-ordered it and expect it to come around release time. But Immortality seems to be just as good so far. Those are my current 3 reads. I do have a few novellas that I do to hit 25 books for this month. My goal for this year is 200 books read. And I know March, I probably will not have as many books read because I'm traveling quite a bit in March. So I'm trying to get as far ahead in the months that I can. That way I can take the breaks that I need to when I need to. For 12 months to reach 200 books, you need to read like 16 and a half books or something. But to finish January at 25 books is a really good start. But I also know there will be months where I'll be lucky if I read 2 books or something, because that just happens. Life, the ebb and flow of life, everything changes throughout, and you can never stick to one thing, that like reading constantly for a full year. I'm proud of myself. I've only bought 2 books this month, and I have currently read 3 of my own physical books. So I'm working my way down my TBR. If I finish the No-Show, that will be another physical book that I read, and maybe I could get another one done beforehand. I'm doing well with my goals. I do need to work a little bit harder on books that I bought in December to finish those in 3 months. That was my goal for this year, and I'd like to start that for those previous books. I do have a lot of book of the month credits that expire come April, so I'm gonna have to spend those, which is a little frustrating because I know I'm not gonna be able to read those books in 3 months, especially with how many I'm gonna have to. I am excited to get those, but I didn't know about those credits. I just can't believe I let myself get to that point. But I have 4 book of the month credit expire in March, so I will use those to get books that I will read, but I don't know if I can commit to reading them within 3 months because I've been trying not to buy too many books so that I can keep that commitment while working down my TBR, and that kind of just feels like I'll be taking a few steps back. But it is what it is. I'm excited to get new books. I'm just trying really hard to stick to my goals this year. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. You can expect, hopefully, as long as life's not too busy, these reading weekly wrap-ups once a week, probably Saturdays or Sundays. I do have a few videos still coming. I still have the 9th house video that I need to film for a recap of 9th house. I want to do Finley Donovan. I want to do a few on me. I do traveling wise and some things I have coming up. I also want to do like a library unhaul and my new library system. I did get a lot of stuff for the library that people were kind enough to gift us from our wedding registry. I do want to show you guys the new library setup soon. A lot going on, and I appreciate you guys sticking around while I took a little bit of a unexpected hiatus, but thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys soon.